Good evening, everybody. Good evening from here. If you're joining, you can do me a favor by sharing so that our people can have benefit of this revelation I'm about making. Please. Okay. Okay. So good morning, good afternoon, and good evening to all of you who are following me this evening. This is Freedom TV as always, and my name is Tony Onaga. Today, I have a very, very important revelation to make to all of you. Everyone living in Nigeria, everyone who has got family in Nigeria. It doesn't matter your political stance. It doesn't matter what you believe or your religious stance. But before I go further, I would like to say a few words to my fellow Biafrans, to my fellow comrades, to those that have been following what I've been doing here. You know, First and foremost, may I start by telling you or clearing myself before I proceed to this very reason for this evening. IPOB is under one command, and that is the leadership of Mazen Namdekano, in which we follow. And at the same time, IPOB means Indigenous People of Biafra, which means every person born of Biafran parents is a part of. So, I want you not to mix these things with anything together before I go further. And when we come to a family, like we always claim that IPOB is one family, and I believe that, I strongly believe. In a family, ask yourself a question. You can sometimes have misunderstanding with your brothers or your sisters, right? Sometimes you can equally disagree. Sometimes you can agree. That is what makes up a family. Because one day I was talking with my Yoruba brother, and he said to me, the only reason why we can live together and we fail to quarrel is because we fail to tell ourselves the truth. Like if you're living with someone and every time both of you are laughing, smiling, there is no time that you misunderstand each other, it means there is no truth in that place. Because anywhere where truth is said, there must be misunderstanding. So this is life that we must have to understand. And also let us be well understood that I personally, the last thing I will do is to sabotage this struggle. I will make this over and over. Sometimes there can be miscomprehensions. There is no problem with that. We are all humans. But mind you that I'm an IPOB by birth. IPOB runs in my blood. Biafra runs in my veins too. So mind you that whenever you want to criticize me, maybe because I raise my concern or my voice, and it doesn't go well with you, you have to understand that in a family, we disagree to agree. When we do not disagree, there must not be truth in us. This is very important. And let we Biafrans understand that criticism doesn't mean sabotage. We must have to put these things in order. If we don't put these things in order, it will cause us disaster in time to come. This is the important notice I just want to give. But before I proceed, let me show you this. May I show you this very happening? All of you remember, for most of you who lives in Nigeria, or you have your relative in Nigeria, it doesn't matter. As long as you're associated to Nigeria, this is concerning you. Let me go back because most of Nigerians, we understand that we forget so easily. But we are here to remind you. I will go back to this paramount claim of former Deputy Governor of Central Bank of Nigeria, Dr. Mailafi Obadaya. That very revelation has started. It has started. How does it start? It started in Jigawa State, and I will show you in a bit. I will show you. Do you know that if you are supporting or if you have not started agitating for the disintegration of Nigeria, that you're supporting your own disaster? If you're still staying on the place or somewhere and you are hoping that let's build, let's work things out, or you're hoping let's 2023 election, let us get our PVCs, you are planning like someone digging his own grave. That is what you are. And why do I say that? The reason is very clear. The reason is because those that you are planning or you are hoping or you are wishing to build something together, they have got completely different agenda, different ideology. They don't believe in the same thing you believe. They don't share the same culture as you. They don't mind the same way you mind. They don't reason the way you reason. Their comprehension is simply inexplainable. Now, let me show you what is happening in Jigawa State. For most of you, whom when Mazin Nnamdi Kanu, the prophet of our time, is telling you or foretelling you what is to befall, we take it for granted. Or when we reveal to you the happenings, you take it for granted. Please do not take this one. You remember when about 5,000 Fulanis were trooping in from Nigeria border to Nigeria? Do you remember? The time I'm talking about was when they told us the whole borders were shut down for coronavirus pandemic. Do you remember? All right. Do you know that all of those about 5,000 or more, the ones we can see, because we cannot judge what we don't see. Do you know all of these people have been integrated into different states in the north, and they have been going through police training. Do you know this? And now they have almost all graduated, and they started what they call, hold on, let me tell you what they call it again, please. Jigawa State Police quranic. Let me show you this, because when I do things, I like to show you the proof, so you can understand that the people whom maybe some of you are believing, that's why I say to my fellow Biafrans, but some of you misunderstand this. May we leave the differences or our disagreements with each other. Let us put it aside and continue to the right path we are supposed to go, because there are more problems. There are more issues at hand. But unfortunately, some people fail to ask. And also, we as a people has the right to question leadership. That doesn't mean you are countering the others of leadership. Questioning. You have the right, even in freedom fighting. Freedom fighting, which we are building here, is command and control, understandably so. And command and control means that the highest order will decide. It doesn't mean that the highest order, you cannot say, no, leader, what you did, I don't like this one. No, that's not what it means. It means that whether you like what they say, whether you don't like it, you have to abide to it. But that doesn't mean you don't have the right to say, what is this as a person? That is why I said, let us remove ourselves from all of these gossips and face the task at hand. Now, listen, look at what is happening in Jigawa State. Look at this. Look at this yourself, please. If you're following me, I want you to know that this is not just about the effort. This is about the people living in that very contraption. Now, see, this is Jigawa State. The Emir of Dutse in Jigawa State, Dr. Nuhu Muhammad Sanusi, had said seeking religious knowledge among security personnel will help in improving the security situation of the country. Now, let us see how religious knowledge may be teaching them Quran, because it's not about Bible. They don't teach the Bible. They don't consider that as a religion in Nigeria. Now, maybe we read further so we can understand, because for me, I don't know how religion has to play a part in a police. For me, I don't know. Maybe if you know, you can tell us. For me, I don't know. The reason why I said I don't know is because that Nigeria is a nation with constitution. And that means both police, all of the security personnel should work under the constitution of Nigeria, or should I say according to, not with religious belief or religious reasons. But the Emir of Dutse in Jigawa State, who organized Jigawa State Police quranic competition. That is why I said share this to our people, those that are still supporting one Nigeria. Let them understand that the people you are hoping or you are wishing to build a country with, they are silly sets of people. A person who believes in the 21st century, in a country where they said democracy is practiced, that religious knowledge could help the police. Let's go ahead. Maybe they can tell us how this would help. And then later, I will explain to you what their plans are. Read, please, so we can get through to what we are doing here. Now, the Emir stated this on Thursday at the 2022 Jigawa State Police quranic competition. First and foremost, if you are a person of Nigeria, a person of conscience, you must ask a question. Why should a nation with functioning constitutions, with means of procedures, how the government affairs are run, organize a quranic or competition? Is that not division? One. Does it not prove to you that these people have a total different agenda? But let's continue reading, because maybe, according to him, let's see how. Okay, let's see how. He said, as custodians of law and order, security personnel have to lead by example by strictly following religious teaching for a better society. Let me put that very particular word. This is interesting. Most of you might not understand where he's going, but that's why we are here to explain to you. If you will not take it that these are just people talking about Biafra. You know, most times when we talk, some of these people don't understand. Because all of these things continues to happen gradually, and gradually. And you don't know this is how implementation of Islamic happens. Now, to what we read, what the Emir said, as custodians of law and order. So instead of custodians of law and order to follow constitutions and the order governing the system of the country, the Emir of Jigawa State is now saying that the best way the police can do a better job is by strictly, mind that very particular word, strictly. When you hear strictly, I would like us to understand this very, very, very clear. He didn't even say if they add religious belief or knowledge, which I don't believe it should be added, but he said by strictly applying. Strictly. What does he mean? Is by making it mandatory that their work must be carried along with the religious proceedings. That is what the Emir of Dutse is saying. And that is when he said that some people in Nigeria will believe this is about Holy Ghost fire. This is not about fasting and prayer. This is about people sitting down on a table, plan what they want to do with you and their future and your own, and then implementing it gradually. It is not prayer can stop this. It's about you getting information of what is to come and prepare for it. Now, the jihad has started in Jigawa State, and according to them, it will be renewed. I don't know if some of you are getting this very important thing here, but most of the times we don't read news in Nigeria. We read mostly the news we want to read. Now, The Emmy said the commitments of the present state commissioner of police in encouraging the police personnel to seek religious knowledge helped immensely in reducing the rate of committing criminal activities in the state. If we no longer receive complaints, which is lie, because people are being killed and murdered in their numbers. Meanwhile, the State Commissioner of Police, EP Usman Sule Goma, said the quranic competition was aimed at reforming the police community relations. So, you want to reform, let's make this reasoning as a people. If you want to reform police, which we understand they operate lawlessly, how do you reform it with religion? Knowing fully well that some of these people are religionists. Some of these people are people who put their religion ahead. And you said that they should carry out their work strictly on religious proceedings, which means if anything you should be doing as a Nigerian police must be according to the Quran. I don't know if you get this or you think this is about IPOB or about Biafra or Nnamdi Kanu. This is the reason why Mazi Nnamdi Kanu is in prison today. Because they understand that when he is free, the people of Biafra cannot accept that. Though some of you, when you see this, you will say, why are they going to Jigawa? Why must we have concern about Jigawa? We have concern about Jigawa because according to the plans, this would be spreading down to all the whole part of the country. It's not just about Jigawa State. It's not just about Lagos. It's not about Biafra. This competition is actually to bring all of those thousands of Fulanis that migrated into the country during the pandemic, instead for them to see if they have understood the actual work they would do. And that is why they presented or introduced that competition. The media doesn't carry it much. The media doesn't say about it much. Okay, so I want us to still continue because for me, I don't know how a police, these same people anyway, have previously introduced Sharia police in the north. And we understand. And these are people that we share a constitution with. After introducing this, they think this is not enough. And now is to organize a quranic competition. Now, this is not really about police. This is about letting a trial. It's a test of faith. They want to see how this will go with us, and then they move further with their further implementation of the Islamic. And if you ask a question, how I'm still reading, and I want you to read with me because I want to understand how Quran can help to improve our police system in a country where we claim its democracy is wrong or so about. I don't know. He explained that seeking religious knowledge will help police personnel in the discharge of their official duties. This is lies. How? Police should work according to the constitution governing the federation and not the Quran. So anytime you see that police has changed from working according to the constitutions of the federation and now working according to the religious proceedings, that means they are changing. Go to the history. Go to the history. That means they are changing the constitution to Islamic constitution, from federal constitution to Islamic constitution, because when the enemy is urging the police to strictly apply religious proceedings to every of their work, that means they don't have to consider the constitution anymore. That means, for example, in Kano State, where you know that you cannot barb the hairstyle you prefer, that means that same thing will be happening in Jigawa. That same thing will happen in Biafra land, and that is what we cannot take. That is what we are here to resist. That is what our generation has decided. We don't want to be Islamized. And this, why I'm saying this to you Nigerians, because I know many of you still believe in Nigeria. This is going to escalate to everywhere. And mind you that you are crying. You started end protest because you said police brutality. Police was brutalizing you under democratic rule. When the Islamic Sharia law takes place, how do you think you will be left? Do you understand this thing that we are showing you here? When it happens that under democratic law, the police can intimidate you, the police can do as they wish to you, and you don't have no right to talk, no right to question the police. And then you protest about to end that same police brutality, and they started to shoot at you. Talk more of when your police is governed Islamically. Excuse me for that. Excuse me. Not to talk of that. When your police is governed. Because according to the Emir of Dutse of Jigawa state, that the police should work. Okay, now let us show you who emerged the winner so that you can understand how the affairs and the mess we are in as a people if we don't do something. First of all, you have to know that these things, like I said, was a well-planned work. It started from last year. Let me show you this. Last year, they did the recitation of the Quran. I hope you can see this. For the first time in history, the Kano State Police Command has organized quranic recitation competition for its operatives with the Takai Divisional Police Officer in the state, SP Mahi Ahmed, emerging the overall winner. Now, I want you to understand. I want you to read this yourself. For the first time in the history of that contraption called Nigeria, because I don't believe that is supposed to be called a nation. Now, for the first time in history, Kano State's Police Command has organized quranic recitation. Supposed to be working according to the constitution of the federal government. So what concerned them with reciting Quran? I don't understand this. Okay. The reason why I showed you this is because I want most of you who are still sitting down folding your hands, maybe because of what your pastor said to you, maybe because of what your reverend or your bishop or anybody said to you, that these people had a plan. If you love yourself, if you love your religion, if you love your belief, if you really want to be free as a person, this is no more time to listen or to judge with theoretical conspiracies, I should say, because they conspired to give you all of these theories that are false. Now, according to Kano State Police Public Relations Officer, DSP Abdullahi Haruna Kiyawa, the competition, which held at the command headquarters in Bompai, is aimed at reforming the police community relation. How can police relation with the community has to do with Quran? It has to do with the constitution. It has to do with the way that the nation decides to build. If at all there is a federal constitution, why should a certain people, certain police, has to practice Quranically? He said all participants had received different gifts, ranging from plasma television set, refrigerator, fans, bicycle yachts, and copies of Quran and some small tokens. All of these tokens, all of the money generated to buy all of these things were brought from Biafra land. Okay. And now you take the money from our resources, you fund yourselves to come and organize to conquer us as a people. This is not just about the Igbo, because when this starts, it will come to every person. And it has started already. It has started. And the reason why we are making this revelation to you and asking every conscientious Nigerian to understand one thing. If you're living in Nigeria today and you sit back, you say, does it concern me? You sit back and you said, after all, I'm okay. You sit back and you said, it doesn't concern me. You sit back to say, I don't like politics. I want you to know that you're selling your future. And if you're one of those who are waiting to go get their PVC, or somebody by the side is telling you get your voter's card, ask yourself a question. How would 2023 look like? If you can go out when there is democracy at all, according to their claim, or when the police operate with the laws of the Constitution, and you engage in protest, you are killed. You engage on any other human fundamental activities, you are killed, you are arrested, you are molested, our women has been abused daily. Ask yourself a question. When the police starts operating fully with Sharia law, what will be the fate of the people? 2022, they will start a civil war, like Obadiah Lafayette revealed to us before they shot him they injected him with a poisonous substance. This war, they planned it. This war, they prepared it, and they will start it as religious. They are planning everything. They are starting it with a good plan. They start by first and foremost reciting, because all of those Fulanis that they want to settle in our land, that is the reason why they are killing us, massacring our people, raping our women, they brought them in already. When they said they shut the borders from the north was when they brought them in. And they have all been distributed to several states in the north. And these are people that this competition are being hosted for. Not really for the police. Not for the police. Mind you perfectly that the people whose this competition has been hosted for are not the police. Because if it is for the police, police should be hosted with the competition that is compatible to the Constitution of Federal Government of Nigeria, and not with Islamic. And remember that when Bauchi State Governor was revealing their intention to bring every Fulanese to settle in our land, he said in his word, if you would like, I can show you so that you can remember and you can go back to this. The governor of Bauchi State said it's about them teaching those they want to bring in and making them believe and making them to understand that it should be more about rehabilitation. And that is why I showed you this very event that happened in November in Kano State. So when they brought them in during the pandemic, they settled down and started making them reciting Quran with them, because for them to conquer you and for them to move about with the work and the pursuit they want, they need to back it up with Quran. They need to tell them they are fighting a holy war. They need to tell them they are about conquering a land for Allah. This is something most of you don't understand. And when they have filled these people with these narratives, trust you me, they will come as a police and they don't care anything about you alone than implementing the wish and the will of Allah. And this is going to be coming in the 4th month. We don't know. This will be coming in the days to come, in the weeks to come. It will happen some of them will say it is gossip. This is not gossip. This is a proof. And this recitation didn't only happen in Kano State. It happened all of the 12 Sharia states from the north. And now they have started organizing a competition. This competition was attended by over 5,000 police. And we are sure that Jigawa State has less than 1,000 police. So where were all those people brought from? Where were all the attendees of this competition brought from? Where were the competitors brought from? They were all brought from the Sahel, as their leader said to us. But most of you forget so soon. So I would like to remind you once again. I would like to show you this video to remind you once again. To remind you, because we are here to remind, and that is our job. That is our duty. Our people fell apart because they lack adequate information. And that's why I continue to ask our Biafran comrades, our Biafrans, those on social media, to stand up and do what? Let us forget about anything gossip, anything misunderstanding we have in ourselves. That doesn't mean we cannot question anything. We have to mind ourselves. Now, let me remind you this video. Let me see if I can get this video. So I can remind you what Bauchi State Governor said in 2020. And I will continue showing you this video. The reason why I will continue showing you this video is because this is the reason for the whole killings going on in Nigeria. There is no other reason. There is no other reason. If somebody don't tell you the reason, this is the reason. I'm telling you here. I know some of you some of you might not understand this. There's a particular place that I want us to get to the question so that you can understand when I said about the carnal. I want you who is following me to understand something here. I want you to see, or should I say, to get to the particular point question, which proves what I'm telling you here, that this thing already happened, already started happening in Kano State. Who's calling me? Like I was saying, um, there is a particular place I want you to watch on this video so that you can understand when I say that this jihad has already started from Kano State, from the whole 12 Sharian state. They started with the recitation of the Quran, and that was what the governor of Bauchi State said here. Listen again to the question and what he responded. Okay? Okay. Telling them that you has to buy to the project. It has to do with sensitization. And that sensitization is about bringing the people who are not supposed to share the same nationality, the same identity with you. And then when you bring them in, just because of the reason that they share the same ethnicity with those that govern the affairs in the country. So because they are Fulani man, you can bring them in, and when they comes, you teach them the Quran and teach them the possible need for them to conquer that land. Because let me tell you, what those that preside your affair, how the Fulani sees Nigeria go around the world, if you're a person that has traveled to other African countries where there are Fulanis, ask them, Nigeria. If you ask them Nigeria, they will say that is their great grandfather's conquered territory. I say this because a Guinean Fulani has said it to me before. A Fulani from Equatorial Guinea has said it too. From Guinea Conakry, from Senegal, all of them has this same understanding about Nigeria, except those who are not well educated, or should I say, Islamically educated, that will enable them understand the Islamic narratives of those in Nigeria. So, because of that same reason, they has to bring these people from different parts of Africa, and when they bring them, like they have already started, because last year, like I showed you here, Kano State started police quranic recitation, and there was nothing about police about those that participated. The people that participated were those people who shipped into the country during pandemic. Those are people who came and they are being taught the Quran. They are being taught that Nigeria is conquered by their great grandfather Uthman Dan Fodio. They are being told that for them to live here, they have to implement that Islamic system, and that is forcing you and forcing us to. Do you understand? And this has started. And you all should remember that Dr. Badia told us 2022 is the day they plan to start everything. How are we prepared? That is the question we must ask ourselves. Why are we distracted to the things that are not important? Why those who are oppressing us continues to conspire together, put their heads together, and bring up something solid? And I call upon Biafrans as well. Call upon Oduduwans. call upon every person trapped in that contraption to understand this. If you're going to any church, now I see some people dragging who will be at the redeem presidential candidate and all of those nonsenses. And I also disgustedly saw some youth even commenting on that nonsense. And I asked them, Professor Yemi Osibanjo is still a redeemed pastor. That is a proof that Christianity in Nigeria is gone wrong. That is a proof that almost every Christian in Nigeria can go to hell, because this is a person that is supposed to lead by example. Do you see that it will be even better? Let us, if at all we can have something, let's try native doctors. Let them lead us. Maybe they could lead better. But not in this very Nigeria, because now the plans of the people is to Islamize us. And that we cannot accept. You can live in America today. You can live in Canada. You can live anywhere around the world you want to live, but that is not your home. That is not your home. Despite of whatever you might have advanced or achieved there, they will still remind you to go home. That is to let you know that there is a place where you come from. And how do we fight them is the question I'm asking to all of you goodwill people. Do you fight them with prayers and fasting? The answer is no. These are people who are equipped with AK-47 different ammunitions. Do you fight them with gossips? No. Do you fight them with fasting? No. Do you fight them with prayers? Maybe yes, but you have to fight them with ammunition before prayer can work. Do you understand that for them, go to the history? If you like, I can take you to the history of Islam. There is no place, no country. Historically, I'm telling you, I'm giving you this historical fact. There is no country today that practices Islam, aside from Saudi Arabia, where it was where it emerged. Even there, it still came with force because they never accepted Muhammad. Sorry, I'm interfering in your religion, though, to some of you, but this is true. This is gospel truth. There is no way Islam is practiced today, or a place where it's practiced today, that it came by majority acceptance. No, not at all. And this is part of the problem. Some of you are now debating 2023 presidency. Let us vote for this one. We need a young candidate. That's why sometimes when I see Shawore talking about presidents, I ask, can this guy even reason for once? Though I love his zeals, I love people who believe in making changes, but some things are not realistic. I like to make a realistic change, not something I know it's impossible. They are now debating which redeemed Christian Church of God member should hear the boy endorse. Can you imagine the nonsense going on in our midst? And very soon, who knows? Who knows? I don't want to offend your GOs, those you believe you see as God to you. But who knows? Maybe very soon, the GO of Redeem will say, okay, Dele Momodu should go. Let the people vote. And the people will sheepishly vote again. And at the end, you find out that all of these people are the same. And even those Dele Momodu that is, blah, blah, I want to lead. You never understood. I know you are never going to win because these people have a history. The only way we can take our freedom back to us is by force. Let me tell you all the truth. It's by force. And this force is not just about the Yorubas living it for the Igbo people alone, or the Benins living it for the Jigawa, or for the Nupe living it for the Bagi people. No. It's about uniting every people together in one voice and take it by force, because they would never stop oppressing us. If not, why? Sometimes that's what makes me to ask a question to our own people, the people of Igbo. Why have we lost dignity? Igbo leaders will send people to Abuja, to Asarok, to beg the so-called Buhari, if at all there is any, saying releasing Nnamdi Kanu. Why should the Igbo leaders beg to release Mazi Nnamdi Kanu, who has committed no crime? And the same people you are going to beg are people calling Fulani brothers, they are Fulani brothers from outside Africa, to come into our own country and settle there. And they call it quranic competition. They call it quranic recitation among the police. And if you're a Nigerian, like some of you call yourself a patriotic Nigerian, patriotic citizen, say to yourself, oh, as a patriotic Nigerian I am, why should Jigawa police have a religious competition? Why you should know that in Jigawa state, it's not only Islamic police, all the police are not Muslims. So why should there be quranic competition? Why should you urge police to work according to the Islamic proceedings? I don't know if if you're following me now, you don't understand what we're saying. I say it to you, patriotic Nigerian. Those who believe there are people that when we vote for them, the things will change. Those who believe there are certain people that deserve to lead, and that the reason why Nigeria continues to drone is because this set of people have not lead. Now, let me ask you, as a patriotic Nigerian, as patriotic as you are, why should a state have Sharia law inside the same nation? And why should there be Jigawa police quranic competition? If at all we are the same people, if at all we are the same nation, if at all you are a patriotic Nigerian, you should ask. But other civilized world, like here we are living, there are some police who are active. They don't believe in anything. There are some Christian police. There are some different police, different religion, different beliefs, different practices. But they work according to the Constitution of Italia. They don't work with their belief, because when you work on Islamic practices or proceedings, that means you will be putting your religion ahead. And that's when you will see a policeman, when you say a bad word about Islam or about Muhammad, they will just arrest you. And then free speech is gone. Then the democracy is gone. Then the people can no longer have the right to decide. Then our women can't even wear trousers and feel like they want to feel. Then even you, as a person, can't even shave as you wish to. You can't even shave your beards, because in Islam, you don't shave your beards, because Islam considers it a natural thing that proves you're a man. I don't know if some of you understand this. So that is why I ask you to understand from today, the only thing we need for 2023 is a referendum. Revolution, which brings referendum. Because if we don't uprise as a people, they will continue to do the same thing over and over and over. And they will continue to tell us the same story year in, year out. But the problem remains, our people are more wicked than the presidents. Our people, we are much more bad than those that lead us. When we complain about leaderships and when we get the leader opportunity, we become like monsters. And then we still complain about tyranny. This is why sometimes you ask yourself, what has gone wrong? What is wrong with the reasoning or a sense of a black people? I don't understand. I personally ask myself this. Because only black race, you will see that they are the only race which every people are rejecting. Yet this same race rejects themselves. Yet this same race finds joy seeing you as his brother, as his race, to cry. And then they take pride of it. That is why sometimes I said, if we can fight appropriately, like I believe this generation is standing up and rising to the occasion, we should produce a means to make a genetically check-up. I believe during the time of colony, I personally believe this, trust you me. I believe during the time of colony that the colonial masters either I think they injected a substance in us, either in our parents, in our mother, or I don't know. But this is what I believe. And the reason why I believe that is because our way of reasoning is different from the way the Western has reasoned. And that's why today You will see a young girl who or a young boy who is going to university, whose parents, whose uncles pay millions of naira to take him or her to school. Maybe the person is studying political science or government administration, all those stuff. Do you know that when you call that person and ask him or her, why are you going to this to school? Do you know what they will say? They'll say, because I want to go to Abuja. I want to take part of my own money. And this will ask you, or we got you to ask, are we really okay as a people? Or do we really have some problems? And that's why I said, if God will help us, and we have to help ourselves, that we has to produce, it has to produce a thing that, should I say, a means to make a genetically checkup of ourselves. Because either that the colonists, during the time of colony, I say this, and I will repeat it often, either they injected a substance into the blood and the system of our people that got us to be reasoning wrongly. Over here, let me give you an example. Let me use the Italy government as an example. Prior to coronavirus pandemic, the prime minister was Antonio Conte. And when this man saw that there has been a lot of casualties, a lot of deaths, a lot of all of this stuff, do you know what he did? He resigned. The reason why he resigned was because he now saw that maybe it seems like I am being incompetent to lead these people in this trial time, because he puts the interest of the people ahead. And that's why he resigned. And now another person took over. And another reason why he resigned was because he understood that the economy became bad. Then he felt like we need someone who is an economist who can revive the economy of the country and also make a concrete decisions for the financial status of the country and also health-wise. I don't know if you understand. But we have a president or a vice president who's under their watch in the last 7 years or thereabout. More than 100,000 Nigerians has been killed, either by police or by security personnel or by terrorists or by road accident, because all of these things are consequent of bad government. And why did I say so? Why? I understand that our people are corrupt. But one of the main reasons why police collect bribes is because he's not well paid. That is one of the main reasons. I know police are corrupt, but not all. If you pay them very well, some of them will not take bribe. Some of them will work appropriately. Okay? Now, why I said the government causes our listen, terrorism, those that died out of terrorism, we understand that there are Western influence in terrorism in Africa. But let me tell you, if government provides work and job and opportunity for the people, do you know that nobody will hate himself to the point that he has to kill himself for religious beliefs or whatever? It's not possible. The reason why religion got better of you was because your life was messed up. Your life became a hell. And you believe that the only way you can amend it is by praying and fasting or by practicing your religion or all those things. I'm not telling you not to practice your religion, but I'm trying to tell you something very true and very sincere. And then the other aspect of it, police brutality that cost a lot of death, is because there is no supervision to the works of the police. Why? Because medicine issue, the water got spoiled from the head. The other ones can't do anything. Absolutely. These three things has cost death of over 100,000 Nigerians in the past 7 years, if it's not more. Because in Nigeria, you die without dignity. You see people say that it's better for them to die in Ukraine than to die in Nigeria. Oh, and that is it. So, if the government is responsible for over 100,000 deaths of Nigerians. Is that government supposed to be considered that there is a person leading that government? The answer should be no. You know, some people say they kind of used to claim that Buhari is not alive, all these things. Why do they fail to include it? Aside from the fact that he has got evidence. Now, you as a person has the right to say there is no person in Asarok. Do you know the reason? The reason is because the fundamental obligation of a government is to protect the lives and the well-being and the property of its people. And that the government has failed woefully. And do you understand that you have every right to say Buhari is dead and gone? You have every reason. Okay? Now, why should the same people still come through religion? Why should pastors, even if they should endorse people, they should endorse them with facts and not because they are members? They should endorse them with facts and tell the people that, come on, listen, Nigeria was built to collapse. Nigeria was built to fail. But they will not tell you, do you know why? Because they benefit from the corrupt system of the government. And I will tell you how. Now, if there is 24 hours electricity, if there are possibilities that when you are sick, whether you have money or you don't have money, that you can go to the hospital and you'll be treated, do you think you have need to go to pastor when you are sick? The answer is no. The reason why you rush to pastor when you're sick is because you have no access to a good hospital. I am not telling you not to pray when you're sick if you wish to. But I'm telling you that the reason why when you start to feel sick, you go to church, kneel down the altar, sow seed, and do all those things and believe is because you don't have access to good hospital. And that is from that place, the pastors understand that when the government is fixed and you have access to hospital, they are to lose customers. Less people will patronize the business. And that's why they can never tell you there is something wrong with being a Nigerian. But most of us who live abroad should testify about this. Go anywhere and apply for something as a Nigerian. Let ordinary Senegal, sorry to Senegalese, I'm not trying to disrespect you, but they welcome Senegal with open arms than you, Nigeria. Where I'm talking about is Christian countries, those that taught you your religion, those that are supposed to accept you because you practice and believe in the same thing. They will take the people who do not believe in the same thing as them, rather than taking you. The reason is because there is no structure in Nigeria. The reason is because Nigeria was built to fail. And the only way that we can escape this is by all of us joining hands to divide, to destroy what is destroying our lives. If you don't know that Nigeria is destroying our lives, how many people died in the Mediterranean Ocean? Just last year. Oh, who's calling me? How many people died in Mediterranean Ocean just between 2016 to 2019? How many people died? Come on. Help me. If you don't know how Nigeria is killing people, let me be listing them out to you. During the NSAS protest, how many people were killed by military? How many? Millions. During the 30th of May sit at protest 2016 in Onitsha Headbridge, how many people were killed? On the 14th of September 2017, how many people were killed in Afara Ukumuahia? Were these people not killed by Nigeria? And how many people died of hunger? How many people died of road accident? What caused road accident is bad road. It's not about prayer. It's not about you saying that God saved you. If you escape road accidents, that is not about God. It's about your luck. God has nothing to do with this. It's just, for example, you come over here and you are driving a car, a place where you can see road signal says run 50 kilometers. You went there and you're running 100 because you just coming from church. Don't you know you will die? And if they get you, they will give you muta. They'll give you fine, right? The reason why they will give you fine is for you to understand that you running that speed, you are risking your life and the lives of other people. And on that, it can cause accident. It's not about you praying, it's not about you not praying, it's not about you believing or not believing. But the pastors will not tell us this, because when they tell you this, after you travel from Onitsha to Lagos, you cannot come back to give testimony that God has saved you from road accidents. I don't know if you're understanding. And that's why any person telling you to vote for that candidate or the other one, any person, this 2023, you should tell them one thing. Nigeria started existing in 1914, okay? And we had an agreement that after 100 years of its existence, that we should come back together on a seat and discuss our further existence as a people. And that 100 years has passed in the year 2014. Now, from 2014 to 2022 is 8 years, right? Why don't we now come down together and say if we want to continue being together? And if you want to tell yourself the truth, we are not together and we will never be together. Why? Because we are different people first and foremost before the creation of that contraption. And tell yourself, as a people, we are divided people. We have different beliefs, different cultures, different value system, different practices, different things we avoid or we take. And if some people believe that when you kill people because of Allah, you go to heaven, how do you want us to share the same nation with such people? How do you want our next generation to live in the same thing? Jigawa State Police is organizing a quranic competition in a country where there is a federal constitution, in a country where they say democracy is the ruler, in a country where they say that we should respect and abide to the rule of law, in a country where some of you have sworn oath of allegiance, in a country where some of you have decided that the best way to deal or to fix it, that you can die fixing it. Why don't all of us stand in destroying this thing that is destroying us? This jihad has started from Jigawa State and it will be expanding. And that's why they want to do everything they can to make sure that our leader, Mazi Nnamdi Kanu, remains in detention. Because he is the only one that can challenge them. But one thing for sure is that God has already destroyed their plans. But you must have to do something. You must have to stop deceiving yourself. You must have to tell yourself the truth. You must have to say that if this thing is happening in Jigawa, last year, 2020, they say they are bringing their people, and 2021, they brought them in a broad daylight. Everybody saw the video. And then, late last year, they organized quranic recitation, which was exactly what the governor of Bauchi State said in 2020, that it has to be about you letting the people, the Fulanis that you're bringing in to settle, to understand and to know more about the religious values. And you have to know that when they know these religious values, because they will be radicalized, not de-radicalized, now they will be radicalized. To make sure they pursue that religious belief, to make sure they fight for Allah, to make sure they get that the inheritance of their great-grandfather, Uthman Danfodio. But the pastors whom they are using are telling us otherwise. Those that are supposed to be telling us that we are supposed to fight to liberate ourselves, just like the Israelites did, they are not doing it because they benefit and they exploit from us. Can you say to them, be it Tele Momodu, be it Shawuri, any person it is, let 2023 be a year of referendum. Join the campaign. Raise it on your Twitter space. Raise it on your Facebook space. Everywhere. If there are a lot of killings, there are no security, if the federal government has failed to create security for the people, why don't we now renegotiate our existence or our coexistence as a people? if there is true democracy? Why don't we all stop talking about presidential candidates? Stop it. Let us use that presidential candidate we talk about and talk about referendum for everybody. Let the Yorubas vote. Do we still want to be part of Nigeria? Let the Shekiri vote. Let the Igbos vote. Let all of the ethnic nationalities that made up Nigeria come together and say, we don't want, we want or we don't want. That is what we should be talking about, and not who's to vote, because nobody is different. All of them are the same. And they don't care about our well-being. They don't care about our well-being. It feels ashamed for me to see a young person like me still talking about let's vote this person, or the reason why they're having ground is this. No, the reason why they are having ground is because we are giving them ground. And the ground is that we are not speaking in one voice. The ground is that when it happens to an Igbo man, you as a Benin man will say it doesn't come to you. When it happens to an Asian man, you as a Yoruba man will say it doesn't come to you, so it doesn't matter. And that is where we are destroyed as a people. But that is why I said this is time that all of us must have to keep religious belief. I repeat, because according to what the Emir of Duse said, many of you may take this very likely. In case you're joining me, I would like to still show you this so you can understand where we are going and where we are coming from. That the Jigawa police state has organized a jihad, complete jihad. It kicked off in Jigawa state, complete. Some of these people don't understand this. Some of you don't understand. I would like to show you again before I proceed this. I would like to show for most of you who are just joining us. This happened in March, this March. It's not far ago. It's not already far. It's not already far. Let me show you. Let me show you once again in case you're joining me. This is reality. This is happening in 21st century. This is happening in a country where you say there is democracy. This is happening in a country where you say there is constitution of law. I'm reading this, and this is from Daily Post. This is Hausa newspaper completely. This is not of Biafra. Let me show you the headline, so you don't think this is about Biafra Post. This is Daily Post that wrote this news. Not me, not Biafran people, not Mazem Namdekano, not IPOB. This is Daily Post. It's owned by Hausa person. Now, read this by yourself. Read this. This that I tick on a blue dot. Read it. The Emir of Dutse in Jigawa State, Dr. Nuhu Mohammed Sanusi, has said seeking religious knowledge among security personnel will help in improving the security situation of the country. Kawan. Now I will show you another place. I will show you another place. This is one that you have to understand. I will show you where he said that they should apply this strictly. I don't know. In Italy, where I live, what makes their law so special that the people respect it is the strictness of the law. That you must have to respect it. And now the Emir is urging the police to observe or to carry on their duties strictly with the religious proceedings. This is horrible. This is horrible. And some Nigerians still don't understand this. Some Nigerians really, really don't understand this. And I will show you this so that you can know the mess we are talking about here. Let me get this. If you're following me, I want to go and say the quranic competition is the first of its kind in the history of the command, and also promised to continue organizing the competition annually. There is where I want to show. I hope you're reading it as well. This is from Daily Post. But there is a particular place where I want to show you here. How can you, now let's see this one. I want to still show this to all of you. How can you tell us that you want to reform a police? How can you tell us that the Emir said the commitment of the present state commissioner of police in encouraging the police personnel to religious helped immensely? How can these things we want to understand? We no longer receive complaint from our people over police brutality and extortion. There are plenty of extortion going on in Nigeria. I want to get where the emir said that they should carry out their duty strictly with religious proceedings. This is where I want to get. This is where I want to show you, so you can understand. You can imagine when they were carrying their duties with democratically constitution. Less more now that they will try to do it on Islamic Sharia pattern. Okay, he said as custodian. Okay, I think this is the place. Yeah, this is the place. Just read this by yourself. Read this, please. He said, as custodians of law and order, security personnel have to lead by example by strictly following religious teaching for a better society. God in heaven. Some of you don't understand this, I know. But when you hear strict law, it's like, for example, when they tried President Trump in America, he was a sitting president, but he was tried, because the law says that nobody's above the law. So now when the emir is urging the police to apply their work strictly with the religious teachings, this means, I repeat, for you women should get ready to cover your head everywhere you're going. Get ready to wear your hijab. I've said this before and I'm saying it again. Except you stand up now to condemn the evil. Except all of you stop listening to all of those GOs and pastors that will deceive you. Because the main problem we are having is not God. It's not carrying the gospel. It's about those that call themselves the leaders. They are the people that they are using to manipulate the mindsets of the people. I believe that every Nigerian understands that. They can no longer continue to suffer. I personally believe this. And that's why most of the times when I talk, some people would say, does it mean you're telling us to forget about God? Come on. God is the master. God is the man that gave the land to our ancestors, the land of Biafra. But those that are carrying out the gospel of even Jesus Christ, they are not carrying it the way it was preached. That is why even when they see this news, they will pretend as if nothing is happening. But I assure you that the commissioner of police in Jigawa state is supposed to be prosecuted. If Nigeria is a country that practices true democracy and respect that national constitution. But unfortunately, it is obvious that the constitution is meant for a certain group of people, to subdue them, to make them not feel important, and to make them not feel like humans. If not, the commissioner of police of Jigawa should be prosecuted. Why should you organize? This is like kind of interstate inside a state. Because the constitution, the police Nigeria, before you get sworn in, if I'm not mistaken, you will take oath with the constitution and not with Quran. So why are you bringing jihadis? And mind you, viewers, that these people are not police. These people are those that came into the country during the lockdown. I repeat this. So that if you didn't get this, you get this. So or you go to church and your pastor will say fast so that killings will stop. Any day your pastor says pray against headsmen, tell your pastor he or she is a coward. And I will tell you why. Because David went to war. King Ahab went to war. All of those great men in the Bible, which I know they are our ancestors in Igbo land, I know that very well. They can be jealous about this, but it's true. They all went to war. King Aaron went to war. King David went to war. So why should, when it comes to our own, we'll be praying for God of Israel to save us, to redeem us? Is what we are suffering under this evil or diabolic government of Nigeria not worse than what the Israelites, our ancestors, suffered in Egypt? So, do you now understand that the pastors, which many of you are waiting, can never tell you that anything is wrong? They can never tell you that if a country is built on destruction, that it must reap failure, because that is their business. That is where they benefit. How can they tell you that the reason why you have to pray to get a job is because there is no enough job? For example, if there are 1,000 job vacancies in Lagos State, and in Lagos State there are 950 inhabitants, what does it mean? It means that 50 job vacancies will be left that even strangers can come and take. That is it. Is it not true? Now, when a pastor tells you that the reason why after you graduated from school you're suffering to get a job is because the government fails to create a job for you, you will stop sowing seed to get a work. Yeah, it's a business. It's business. It has nothing to do about God or Jesus Christ. It has nothing to do with God, I repeat. It's about common sense. We have to make it to believe. They manipulate the mindsets of the people. Because if the pastors can tell you that since 1960, when they said we've got independent, that different sets of people have been leaders, and yet no change. Things are declining. Things are getting worse as day goes by. Do you know that you will not even consider if anybody was from your church? But we have problem as a people, two problems. One is ethnicism, and another is religion. When I say ethnicism, what I mean is, because I'm Igbo man, for example, if it's an Igbo man that is going to rule, it doesn't matter if he's dying, if he's competent or not. It doesn't matter. As long as Igbo now, let's make him lead. The important thing is that the people of Igbo is leading. That is one of our problems, ethnicism. Another one is religion. Religionism kills everything we do. Why? For example, do you know that Yemi Oshibanjo, who happens to be the vice president of Nigeria, is a pastor in the Redeemed Christian Church of God? And he cannot tell us that Buhari is dead. Do you understand? Do you know that upon the fact that Nigerians, knowing fully well that this man and his master has failed us woefully, do you know if their daddy GO still recommend Yemi Oshibanjo as the next man to redeem Nigeria? Do you know the people will sheepishly vote for him again? Do you know this is true? And this is why I say two things is our problem as a people. Religionism and ethnicism. These are two problems we have. And for us to be free completely, mainly mentally, we have to eradicate these things completely. We have to take them off. And they will not tell you that the reason why you suffer from accident is not really for God. God has nothing to do. Even those doing charms in the village, when the road is good and you run according to the measures of the security measures of the road, trust you me, you can never have accident, except for any mistake that the car happens to break down. This is simple sense, common sense. Common sense. And the pastor won't say it. It's not that they don't know, but they understand that when they tell you this and you travel from Ore to Shagamu, you cannot come and testify the goodness of the Lord again. They manipulate the minds of the people. And even God is angry with the way we practice our religion. And that's why we can't get freedom if we don't sanitize mentally and psychologically. They tell us only thing that they want us to know. This is horrible. This is horrible. This is really, really horrible. But how do we take our destinies back? It's all up to us. It's really up to us. Because while we are still talking is mainly for our next generation. Mainly, I will keep saying this day in, day out, every day. It's for our next generation. If it is for only this generation, man, I don't know if we can redeem this, because even the genetically wickedness that runs in our vein is as horrible as what I never seen. I never seen that. Because it's only we. It's we that goes to church more. This is where we have problem. We practice church, we practice God. We feels like we are people closest to God. But in our hearts is the problem. And that's why even God is angry with us as a black people. Even the Lord God in heaven, who loves us so much, is angry with us. And that's why I ask, does it mean during the time of colony, some things were injected into the blood cell of our ancestors? I don't know. Anything is possible. Because every time we want to talk, we talk differently. We reason differently. If not, how could somebody even be bragging of heaven? You are bragging of heaven, right? And even these people are continuing to acquire private jet. They don't want to die. Do you think you can go to heaven when you are alive? The answer is no. The answer is no. Do you now understand where we are going? And that's why it's very, very important. This. All of these people read how many Christian students who have been abducted for the past 8 years or thereabout. All of them saw how much killings going on in the country. Highest thing they can say is to come up on a few days or few times to just talk rubbish. Because they are protected. And if you as a common man who knows that you are the one that is going to suffer, because it's we, the masses, not the people, not them. They are the leaders, they are the looters. They has everything. They move on private jets. They will go with security and you buy the stickers as the protector and the defender. This is a scam in the highest order. That's why I say to the people, stop arresting Yahoo boys. Their scam is much more, if I should say legit, pardon me, but this is true. Because they scam and they stand with it. But we have a group and a set of people who scam with belief. And the worst thing you can use to talk with someone is their belief. Because belief is so strong. It can cause problem between mother and father. It can cause problem between children. It can cause problem between brothers, between siblings. Belief. So now knowing fully well that you have belief in everything, that is the best way they can torment our minds. If not, how can they tell us that they are sitting in a country where the president doesn't address the people, doesn't take questions from the media, doesn't do any media presentation in the 21st century? And all of these people travels to UK every time they come on social media to do even live video. These pastors that are so busy even fighting demons, fighting witchcraft in Africa, but they always have time for live video, live presentation. We don't ask our questions. When we give birth to a child, we start teaching them to pray, to believe that God can do everything. The same way we use Facebook. We call Mark Zuckerberg a Satanist. We use Facebook that he is introduced. How many have we introduced with prayers? None, absolutely none. And that is where we should know that we have to do something. And that thing we have to do is to first of all resist this Islamization agenda. And whom they are using, to make sure they fulfill it is your religious leaders. And I will not say it with any fear, because what we are doing is work for our next generation, and not for this generation even, but work to make sure that our next generation understands what is right and what is wrong. I don't want my child to grow up in a place where someone will manipulating the boys or the girls' mindset. No, I want to bring up my child in a way that he or she has to think what is right and what is good for him or her, and not what someone tells him. I don't know. Only in Africa this happens. If you check the history, Africa are the only people whose religion or their culture are no longer practiced. We are the only people on the entire planet Earth. Other people practice their culture Only we. And it was from there the conspirators and the infiltrators came in. 12 states in the north has become Islamic states. And they are moving further with rapidly to conquer the remaining part. And it's up to all of us to stand up now. Stop listening to religious bigotisms. Stop listening to whoever tells you that there is any person who would be better. Mazen Nnamdi Kanu is in detention. How has all of you patriotic Nigerians reacted to it? The answer is nothing. Nothing. And so when you want to tell me about patriotic, where is that patriotism? I don't understand. Sometimes I ask this question to most of you who say they are graduates. And that's why I say a graduate in Nigeria is a primary school student in Europe. You can say it's not true, but this is true. If not, you are a graduate. Most of you studied law. Most of you studied government administration and all of those things that are related to politics or government. And an activist, the only crime or the only reason why most of you hate him is because he's talking about Biafra. Because his activism is based on Biafra. But when most of you sees a petition on change.org asking you to go and sign this petition because so person in Gambia could be killed, you speedily go and sign it. Speedily, I must tell you. And now, because Mazen Nnamdi Kanu's activism is based on Biafra and the redemption of the whole entire black people, you think there is no reason to support him because you believe Nigeria is more important than human life. And that is where your cowardice as a person is evident. And the main reason for this is because of the pastors, the GOs. We must continue to say this truth. How? Someone will say how. How is because when they tell you that there are some who prophesy, because Mazi will tell you the truth, and you don't like it. When he tells you that Nigeria will get better in 2030, you'll be living in a state of imagination and in a state of believing, even things that might never ever come to reality. You will believe them because your mindset is twisted or is manipulated. That's why even Muslims today resign and come to church and become pastors, become reverends, because there is money there. And that's why I said earlier, no pastor can tell you the reason why you don't have job is because the government doesn't create work. Because if he says that, he can no longer ask you, wouldn't have the monopoly to ask you again to sow seed to enable you get a job. It's simple sense. If he tells you the reason why, what causes accident mainly is bad road and the lack of observation of the road signs. These are two things, fundamental things that causes road accident. If you don't observe the protocol, the road protocols, or if there is no good road, you will eventually crash. It's just like those that call themselves the autopilots. And I laughed. Because I said, there is no way you can say you're autopilot. But I said, I want you all to continue doing your thing. But mind you, this is an example. In America last year, or last 2 years or thereabout, there had been a lot of Uber, a lot of cabs that were built, and they were built on autopilotism, like AI will be riding the car, they'll be riding with artificial intelligence. Do you know how all of those things happened, how they ended? They've all crashed. It would take another millennium, obviously, to be able, if at all there can be an auto-driving car. And that's why I say to the people that call themselves autopilot, you have to retract your steps. And at the same time, still call on the leadership of IPOB to know one thing. Nobody is more Biafran than the other. And this is from where we can unite. And then we destroy the religious bigotism that is governing the best of our people. Because if we don't, and we continue to campaign about Biafra, but we don't destroy the religious bigotism, the ethnic bigotism, we are not going anywhere. Who knows? Maybe tomorrow, Pastor Adeboye will wake up and said, Dele Momodu should now go, or Yemi Oshibanjo should now he endorse. Millions of Nigerians would cowardly go and vote for the same people that has failed already. Do you see the way and how religion got the best of our people? That's why you will see a suffering mother in the village, knowing fully well that those that are in their farms trying to kill and rape and mess them around are doing it in the sake of belief in their religion, because they believe that when they fight a war for Allah and win, they are going to heaven, and that when they go to heaven, they will be gifted of 72 virgins, and then they can do anything to make sure they do that for Allah. And then in the opposite, which is we as the Christians, right? Our mothers who are being killed, when they go to church, the pastors will say, pray to you in Jesus' name. You are healed in Jesus' name. You are protected in Jesus' name. Why in the other way around, those that are killing us, their leaders, their religious leaders are equipping them with ammunitions to continue slaughtering for Allah. But our own, they tell us to pray in the name of Jesus and they protect us in the name of Jesus. So how, I don't tell you that the name of Jesus doesn't protect, but it's not against physical harm. Just for example, when you see a moving lorry or a moving truck, you say, in Jesus' name I am protected. You move in there, you die. That is true. That is simple nature, simple sense. It's simple. That is to tell you that when you see Fulani herdsmen in your village, killing people, maiming people, raping women, that the only way to defend them is to get yourself equipped, to get armed and equip yourselves and defend yourselves. It's not a crime. And the pastors might not tell you this because they want you to come for miracle. Only few of them can tell you this. I know there are still good ones, but only few, very few, can tell you that the reason why that you are not protected is because the government is failed. Let's check something here before we proceed further. I want to show you the signs of a failed government. Let's go to Google. Let Google tell us what are the signs. Let me ask a simple question. I want you to follow me, please. Let me ask Google a simple question. What is the sign of a failed state? Or examples of a failed state? This is the question I want to ask. So you can understand that obviously even that Jigawa police competition is part of it. Let's ask this question. Examples of a failed state. Okay. Let's see what Google has to say. The labeling of states like Somalia, Afghanistan, Liberia, or Sudan as failed states gives Western countries the legitimization to impose the Western idea of stable nation state. We understand that one. But let's see examples of failed state. That is what we want to see. Let's go to Wikipedia. Failed state Wikipedia. Nation building by development steward and what? Maybe no, I didn't ask the question right. What is considered a failed state? Okay, what makes a failed state? Okay. I want to get the question right. Okay, okay, I think we got here now. Now let me show you here. I think I got the question initially long and read the question, but now see for yourself. I wrote the question is what is the meaning of a failed state? And this is what Google has to say to me. Let me try to zoom it closer. Okay. Now read so you can understand where we are going. And I will still show you what you have to do when a state is failed. Now, a failed state is a political body that has disintegrated to a point where basic conditions and responsibilities of a sovereign government no longer function properly. Okay, so failed states could be classified as a where basic conditions and responsibilities of a sovereign government no longer function. For example, let's give you examples. Boko Haram's terrorists take tax in some states in northern part of the country. A great sign of failure of a sovereignty. Because how can another armed group receive tax or revenue in a country that is governed by a state? I don't know if you get this. And it's not by a mistake, it's not mistake that this state is failed. The reason why I brought this up to show you is for most of you who are believing on what your GOs would say on this issue. And then after I show you these things, I will still ask, what do citizens of failed states do? What they do is to take up from where their government has failed. The example Google gave us here is this. A failed state is a political body that has disintegrated to a point where basic conditions and responsibilities of a sovereign government no longer function properly. Then, a state can also fail if the government loses its legitimacy, even if it is performing its functions properly. For a stable state, it is necessary for the government to enjoy both effectiveness and legitimacy. Likewise, when a nation weakens and its standards of living declines, it introduces the possibility of total governmental collapse. The Fund for Peace characterizes a failed state as having the following characteristics. Now, listen. Follow me carefully here, please. Follow me carefully so you can understand. This is the Fund for Peace. It's an organization. It's an organization, an international organization. These are things that they characterize as a failed state. Now, follow me so you can see if your country is a failed state or not. Then we will go back to why you must defend yourself against the jihadists that they have started in Jigawa state. Now, these are the examples. These are the examples of a failed state. Loss of control of its territory. Wow. Or of the monopoly on the legitimate use of physical force. Wow. I hope you're reading this with me if you're following me. The reason why I'm showing you this here, I'm talking about the jihadists that have started in Jigawa state. Anyway, this is the topic this evening. But the reason why I am showing you these very failed states or reasons or what makes up a failed state is because most of you are still praying and believing that things would get better. But we are living in a world of reality where things doesn't get better by prayer anymore. We are living in a world of reality where things get better by work you do, by how you perform or how you put up your work. We are living in a country where the world no longer believes in prophecies. They believe in plans for the future. So now, We have loss of control of its territory. These are signs of failed states. Okay? Has Nigeria lost control of its territories? The answer is no. And where? Where the Boko Haram take taxes, they have lost it. In Borno State, Boko Haram has taken over. They have taken over in Katsina State, some part of Kaduna as well. They pay tax. Some local farmers in Kaduna State pay tax to Boko Haram terrorists. Is that not the example that Wikipedia gave to us here? Is that not part of a failed state? Does it mean those that tell us that things will get better in 2030 don't understand that these are signs of a failed state? Now, another reason: erosion of legitimate authority to make collective decisions. For example, erosions of legitimate authority to make collective decisions, inability to provide public services like electricity. There is no electricity. Like now, you're suffering from fuel scarcity. You produce fuel, you are the fourth largest oil reserve in the world, but you don't have fuel because there is problem in Russia. And that makes you that you don't have fuel. And these are signs of a failed state, according to Wikipedia. I never said this, I never wrote it. Inability to provide public services like hospitals. They don't provide public services like hospitals, like good road. This is a signs of a failed state. Inability to interact with other states as a full member of the international community. Do you understand this? Common characteristics of a failing state include, okay, let's see, of that of a failing state. It's important to see if the country has already failed or it is still trying to fail. So, common characteristics of a failing state include a central government so weak or ineffective that it has an inability to raise taxes or other support and has little practical control over much of its territory, and hence there is a non-provision of public services. When this happens, widespread corruption and criminality, the intervention of state and non-state actors. Is that not what is happening in Nigeria? Absolutely yes. How? And I will explain to you how. These common characteristics of a failing government, which states that when a central government happens to become so weak or ineffective that it cannot even raise taxes, like in Nigeria, that they has to go to China to borrow and before they can build. And not really that the state borrow is not a problem that the state borrow. It's more of a problem what you invest those you borrow. How can you borrow from China about 3 billion US dollars and then you build a railway station from Kaduna to Niger Republic? It doesn't make sense. People of Nigeria has no business with Niger. So I'm actually having some network issues here. Now let me take you back to where we were. So now, like I was saying before I got interrupted. Now, this is this is an example of this is a common characteristics of a failed state. And why we are preaching about this, and I am bringing this to your notice, is because some of these common characteristics of a failing state, which include all of these above listed things, is one of the things that happened few days ago in Jigawa state. If the government, which goes Wikipedia stated here, that when loss of control of its territory, when a government loses control of its territory, it becomes a failed state or of the monopoly on the legitimate use of physical force. If the government of Nigeria has now changed from operating within the federal constitution, or then decides to operate within Islamic introduction, that is another sign of a failed state. When a state has no longer control of its own territory, that is a failed state. And these are all things that are happening in Nigeria. And those that we expect, because some of us see our religious leaders as God. So those that we expect them to speak about it, those that we expect to call our people and say, hey, these people don't mean well for you. These people want you down. These people want to take you down. That you have to defend yourself. They are not doing it. It's up to you all. This is no more time. I repeat, now we must have to continue to talk about this year in, year out. It is time to move back to action. And on that note, I want you to make sure you pass this message across. The jihadists, which Mazen Namdeka has told us for many years, which Dr. Mai Lafio Badaya as well stated in 2020 that it started in 2022. It has come here and it has started in Jigawa state. And very soon they would go and spread all around Nigeria. It's more about how you are prepared. It's more about how ready you are. It's not more about how prayerful you are, because prayer doesn't stop God. God stops God. And defense, you have to defend yourself. You can't fight God with bare hands and believe that you will win. Even David in the Bible, which all of us practice, he never fought Goliath with bare hands. No, he fought him with stone, and then God helped. And that is why we know that all those their jihadist army that they will send in Biafra land will all perish there. They will all die in Biafra land, because we are the only civilization on the face of planet Earth who conquers nobody, and nobody should conquer us, even though the British had tried to conquer us in the past. And we made ourselves up back. They can't conquer us anymore. And that is why we will keep doing what we are doing. That is why I call upon you all, Biafrans, lovers of freedom, peaceful people, to understand that the only way to replace ourselves is by ourselves. To get yourselves equipped. That those that kill your ancestors are planning to come and lay mayhem on you. That's why I call on all our comrades in this very struggle to understand that this is no longer time for us to come and gossip and fight one another. This is time for us to march with force and make sure that we restore that kingdom of God. And we will only do this, we can only achieve success collectively. Unite together and say enough of this. Because if we don't quench a fire in our neighbor's house, it will consume all of us. This jihad is coming to the whole of Nigeria. And if nothing is done, nobody can practice his belief or religion in no distance time. This is not a threat. This is a revelation that you have to keep in your mind. And if the pastors fails to see this, that's why I can tell you they are not pastors of God. If the pastors fails to see this, but they tell you that things would get better, ask them when, how, through who. Because what makes Westerners the best, I don't try to overhype them, but their way of life is better than ours. Is because even when a sitting government is making a proposal, the masses will always like to get a clarification. Even when a sitting government wants to do something in the West, they would like you to prove them, not prophesying, because a lot of prophecies have been coming and going and none come to fruition. Ask that person that says Nigeria will get better where? Ask him or her, how long do we have to wait for the betterment of this? And they continue to expand their Islamic agenda, which will consume every one of us. If we don't rise when Biafrans are being killed, if we don't rise when Mazen and the Khan is being detained for no just cause, in the next time, few years to come, nobody will have the right to talk again. If you talk that time that the enemy has asked them to work and to do their policing work with Islamic proceedings, this is not joke. When you did NSAS, you were shot. At that time, they still observed the Constitution of Nigeria. This new time, they are going to change and modify everything. That the police and the army, everybody will be working with the Islamic Sharia law. Imagine yourself as a woman, how you feel. No more makeup for you. No more trousers. No more bum shots. Nothing more. You have to wear hijab every time. That is why you have to know that this is not perpetuation. Ask your governors, your leaders a question. If you are to do one man, don't let anybody tell you that Tinubu will be better. Don't let anybody tell you that Yemi Oshibanjo is the best. Don't let them tell you that Showere is the best. Don't let them tell you that Dele Momodu is now the change we need. Because these are all bunch of the same cowards, birds of the same feathers. They all have the same mind, the same thought. The only sweet things you hear from them is during or before the election. And after that, they'll bring their evil and diabolic minds towards you. It's time for us to realize. And mind you that you going out to vote for anything in Nigeria, you are selling yourself for another 4 or 8 years of suffering and killing, massacring, butchering. That's what you're doing. The best thing we should do is for everybody saying, the only vote we want now is referendum. And they will never give it to us because their plan is to bring all the Fulanis to settle in our land. Only way we can take it is by force. Let's unite. Let's fight one enemy. The enemy is not Biafra. The enemy is not Oduduwa. The enemy is not Benin. The enemy is not Bagi. The enemy is not Igala. The enemy are the Fulanis. And they are immigrants. They are those that migrated to Nigeria in the late 18th century. Now they are ruling over you. And the reason is because we never fought to have our freedom. The reason is because we took our freedom on a platter of gold. And since then, nothing has changed. And if somebody tells you to continue being law-abiding, to defend yourselves against those who are not law-abiding in killing you, tell the person I Tony Onaga said, he or she is wrong. The only way to defend yourself against violence is by being violent with the same thing. If the kingdom of God suffered violence and violence took it by force, then who are you to incite peace when they are bringing violence to your doorstep? Or do you want to tell me that you can see your mother being killed in your presence and you look at the person and pray? Do you want to tell me your wife or your sister will be raped in the front of you and you'll be praying, or you go to pastor to ask him or her why? Do you know why you are still holding on? Is because it has not gotten to you, and it will still come to you. That's why I said two problems we have as a people: ethnicism and the religionism. These two things is what divided us as a people more. And any day we drop all of these narratives aside, we get that Biafra, we get that Ojukwu, we get that nation we want. And from that, I will call an end to this. And thank you all for joining me this evening. Thank you all for tuning in. I appreciate you. And God bless you. Have a wonderful evening.